Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to install and configure txAdmin. This video is more targeted for beginners, so you should be able to follow it even if you have no experience with Windows servers. For those who don't know, txAdmin is a free and open source admin tool to manage and monitor your GTA 5M server remotely via the browser, so you can control it even with your phone. It has a lot of features like the ability to start and stop the FX server, monitor the amount of players, send a message to all players, or restart the resources. txAdmin will also restart your server if it crashes or according to a selected schedule. You can also see the server console and much more. After this video, check out the GitHub page, where you'll find a more complete list of features. This tutorial is based on version 1.7 of txAdmin, but it also should be compatible with the next few versions. If you have any problems installing txAdmin, you can always find help in our Discord server or in our official thread in the 5M forum. The link for those will be in this video's description, like all the other links you'll need throughout this tutorial. Okay, so let's jump into our virtual machine. The first thing we need is to download Node 10, LTS, and Git. Be careful and make sure you have downloaded version 10 of Node. If you have versions 11 or 12, it won't work. Since I already have them downloaded, let's start the installers and then go into Windows Firewall. The Git installer is a bit overwhelming, but you don't need to worry about all of those options. Now that they're installing, let's open the port in the Windows Defender firewall. Click Advanced Settings, then Inbound Rules and New Rule. Select port, TCP, and type port 40120, which is the default port for txAdmin. Click Next a couple of times, and for the name you can put something like txAdmin TCP and then click Finish. And now our Windows Firewall is ready. Remember that if you're using a hosting company like Google Cloud or AWS to host your server, you'll also need to go into their panel and open the port on their firewall. Now back to the documentation. Now that we already have everything that we need, we are going to run these commands in the CMD terminal. Since we want to install txAdmin on the desktop, we need to enter it first. If the prompt is not your account already, in my case administrator, type cd space %user_profile% to get into your user path. Then type cd desktop to enter the desktop. Pay attention that you have to capitalize the D. Now, head back to the docs and copy the first command. To paste, just right-click in the terminal and then press Enter. As you can see, txAdmin was already downloaded, and now we have to enter the folder and execute npm-i to install all of its dependencies. And you can also see that I'm only executing the commands from the documentation. Let's copy the next command. As you can see, everything was installed. Now let's execute the next command that will create our first admin account. And next we run the next command to set up our server profile. When it asks for the port, type the port you want or just press Enter to use 40120, which is the default. And done. As you can see inside the txAdmin data folder, now there's a default folder which is the server profile we just created. You can run it by executing the start.bat batch file, or you can type the next command from the documentation. If you see anything in red, it means something went wrong. You need to read the error to know what it was. Now that txAdmin is running, you can open it in the browser. Here I'm using localhost 40120 since I'm inside the VM. If you're accessing it from outside, you will need to use the server's public IP. Enter your credentials and press Login. As you can see, txAdmin will redirect you to the settings page. So let's type in a short server name. The public IP should already be correct, but you can also click the Auto Detect button, and then click Save. After that, let's go to the FX server settings. The build path is the path that contains your FiveM server build. In my case, I leave it separate from my base path. The build path on Windows will be the folder full of DLLs that also contains your run.command and your FX server exe. Now let's paste it in the settings. Base path is the folder that contains the resources, cache, and also usually your server config file. The majority of servers have this folder inside the FX server folder, but that's not recommended. It's way better to keep it separate to facilitate the process of updating your FX server build. As you can see, my server config is inside my base path, so for the CFG path, let's just copy the base path and add /server.cfg at the end. And done. Now save it. If it shows you a red error regarding your TCP endpoint, open your config file and locate your endpoint_add directives. Make sure both of them are using 0.0.0.0 instead of your IP address. Now that you have your FX server configured, let's go back to the dashboard. Before pressing start, make sure your FX server is not running in another window, like in this case. So let's close it. Now you can start the server in the dashboard. Again, you do not need to open your FX server anymore. Just open txAdmin and let it do the magic for you. And as you can see, the status has already changed to online, and if you go to the live console, you should see the server is already running. And now you have your txAdmin properly configured and running. Again, if you have any issues, check out our documentation or check our Discord server and FiveM forum thread. Both links in the repository or in the video description. Thank you guys, and see you next time.